Ever since I was a little girl, I just loved the story of Moses. All the way back from the Prince of Egypt movie to this day, my favorite movie. So when I saw the Moses Testament docu-series, drama series on Netflix, especially when I'm going through this kind of fast, when I want to get away from secular content, I was like, boom, let me watch this. It is a story that's featured in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, all Abrahamic religions. I'm here to talk about the many lessons that the story of Moses holds. There's one that I can't quite get out of my head this morning. The Israelites were begging for freedom for 400 years. They were begging for it. And when they finally got it, they were like, okay, take us back to the chains. What? Like every little thing they had a complaint. They're crossing the water, they're crossing the desert. They're like, we should have stayed with Pharaoh. We should have stayed as slaves. They weren't allowing the story to unfold. They weren't looking at the bigger picture. They didn't have trust in God the whole time. It didn't matter what miracles they saw happen. It doesn't matter that they knew that how real God was. It didn't matter what works, what they just came out of, and really how truly amazing that was. As soon as things got tough, they were like ready to turn their backs on God, not having faith in God, ready to do things their own way, just bonded by their slave mentality, just complaining and ungrateful, and they felt entitled in a way for everything that God had done for them. Really, they walked with this entitlement. This truly highlights humans' tendency to romanticize the past when facing hardships. God was literally leading them to the promised land. But because of the discomfort, the temporary pain, the temporary discomfort, like all of that, they didn't care. Humans would rather suffer in what's familiar than deal with the discomfort of growth, of change, of something new. How many times did we start a business, a new venture, a new diet, a new workout plan, a new job, and we're ready to give up before it even gets good? You could very much be through your walk in the desert right now. Things get tough before they get better. God could literally be leading you into your promised land. It's also like that meme where there's two guys and one keeps going and he like hits the gold mine, and the other, he's like literally one sliver away and he turns back. You don't know how close you are. You could wake up tomorrow and everything be different. You are so close. You could be so close to your success, and you're over here walling in the pain and discomfort. You're forgetting where you came from. You're forgetting what you prayed for. You're forgetting what you asked for. Just know that greatness, it requires discomfort. Good things do not come easily. What comes easily, you lose it easily. I don't know what kind of law of the world, of the universe it is, but it's the truth. So if you're uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right. If you're shedding the blood, sweat, and tears, if you're on the way, you're doing something right. Your greatness is right on the other side of that. The lessons that you're learning, the people that you're encountering, the layers that you're shedding, you're going through a spiritual purification. The promised land could have been 10 days away, but internally, they were still slaves on the inside. They were free by the politics, they were free by the system, but spiritually, they were not free. They were still shackled. You don't know what work God is doing on the inside, how God is working on you on the inside to get to where you need to be, and not just get there, to maintain it, to get there and it be fruitful, to get there and it's not something that just melts away, or before you know it, you're in a worse situation. Like the people who win the lottery and they end up in drugs, poverty, they end up even worse than they are because inside they were still in the same poor mindset. Around them, they still had the wrong people. You don't know, you can't see the bird's eye view. We need to stop trying to be God. We need to stop trying to think that we have it all figured out, because we don't. And it also comes down to being careful what you ask for. If you're ready for this greatness, if you're ready for this success, it's gonna come with discomfort. It's gonna come with unease. It's gonna come with blood, sweat, and tears. And that's what you're assigning for. If you want to stay mediocre, if you want to stay simple, if you want to stay normal, don't even start asking for the greatness. If you're gonna just complain and wallow and whoop, don't even ask for the greatness. Stay where you are. Stay mediocre. Stay a slave. Stay unfree. Stay shackled. But I guess it's just human nature to just be so displeased with where we are, with how we are. But anyway, don't let temporary hardships, remember not to let temporary hardships fool you into thinking that your past was better, was funner, was easier. Don't let it romanticize the past for you and make you think that you need to be back there. That's a trick of the devil. Remember the Israelites crossing through the desert. Don't let your temporary hardships fool you into thinking that the past is where you belong, that the past is better, that the past is easier. It's not. It's an illusion. Because if you were to lose all the progress, everything that you had today, if I were to lose all the progress that I made over the last 5 years, yes, I'm not exactly where I want to be. Yes, I have a whole nother journey ahead of me 5 years from now. I would be distraught. I would be ready to get out of here. That would be the most frustrating thing. I'd be like, all right, let's just cut this. Get me out of here. Your journey is specific and it's unique to you. Just trust God to do the work that He is doing in your life. Just trust that God is answering your prayers. Just be faithful and just get used to the discomfort. Find a way that you can build mental toughness, emotional resilience, that you can just accept that this is the process, that's the law. You got to be uncomfortable. The journey is uncomfortable. It's part of the process. For example, there was a part in the story where at this point they have gone through the 10 plagues. They've gone through the plagues. They've walked through the ocean, which is like, yes, that was the climactic part. They're like, we walked through the ocean, and they think that, oh, this is it, they're in the promised land, but it is just the beginning of their journey. I think walking through the water was such a beautiful symbolic point. Like in a person's life, it might be getting their degree. You finally went through the schooling to get your bachelor's, your master's, whatever phase you might be in, and you're like, yes, this is it. But really, it's just the certification. It's just the accolade. It's not what you're doing with your life. It's not the project. It's not what you're doing with your master's. It's just you just gone through the initiation, basically. It might be hitting your first 100,000 or your first million, and you're like, oh, I made it. Yes, finally here. But there's still a lot of work to do. Or you still have a lot of like deep-seated traumas, issues. You're now getting down to the real gunky stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, you reached this accolade or you've reached this milestone, but there's still so much more to come. So back to the story, they have made it through the water. They're giving thanks then, yes, but now they're going through the desert and they're without food. They're without water. They're without shelter. It's hot. It's cold. It's all of these uncomfortable measures. And now they're moping and they're complaining. They're like, yo, we could have stayed over with Pharaoh for all of this. We were eating all the food that we wanted to eat. We were mad comfortable with the Pharaoh. Like, take us back, because this is ghetto. Like, I'm not trying to be out here in the desert not knowing when the next time we're gonna eat, drink. Like, they were miserable, and I mean, rightfully so. They're literally starving. There were so many times that Moses got frustrated, or even people that were like a little as woke as Moses. Like, come on now, like, you guys haven't seen what God done for you and you still don't have faith? Like, most of these people didn't have as much faith as Moses did. Actually, all of these people were ready to turn their back on Moses and God when things got rough. When I think about the lesson that this bit of the story tells in life, how many times can we apply this to our personal lives? How many times do we quickly forget how God has blessed us when things get tough, or once the high of an accomplishment, or once the high of a milestone dies down, it's so easy to belittle where we've come from, how far we've came, how truly blessed we are, how many times we shouldn't even be here, how many times that enemy literally tried to take us out. Our focus is just zoomed into the discomfort of what the current times are. We don't take a moment to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, or maybe we can't even imagine the bigger picture. There's so many times that the Israelites couldn't even fathom what was ahead of them. Before the Red Sea split, they got to the sea and they were like, how are we even gonna make it through this? Like, we should just turn back now. Like, we're gonna drown. Even once the sea split, they're like, no, like, let's still turn back. I don't want to walk through that. We're gonna drown. Despite how many times God showed them literally hell falling out of the sky in the middle of Egypt, literally hell falling out of the sky in the middle of Egypt, frogs hopping all over the place, the river turning into blood. Like, they already saw that God is limitless, and they're still having doubts. Sounds pretty familiar. How many times in our everyday life do we fall victim to this? It just dawned on me as I'm driving to work, and I'm just so grateful, and I'm feeling grateful. I feel well rested. I feel like I finally got some rest that I really needed this weekend. And when I wasn't rested, it was easy for me to complain. I felt down. I felt like, okay, yeah, I'm grateful for what I have, but I want more. I'm not where I want to be. I still have so much more to go. I'm still so much at the beginning. Like, I still haven't done anything. And it's easy when you're in this low vibrational state where you're not well rested, when you're not well taking care of yourself, when you're juggling too many things at once. It's really easy to diminish or look down on what God has done for you, to forget about how far you've come. And now that I've gotten the rest, now that my cup is a little bit full, and I'm just reminiscing, and I'm just grateful about the same things that I had when I was complaining. Nothing has changed except my mindset, except my fuel level. I'm just thinking back about the gratitude, and yes, maybe I do have a long way to go. Yes, maybe there's still so much more to unfold. Yes, maybe I can't even imagine the end picture, the bigger picture. But if me 5 years ago were just to boom, like drop into my body right now, I would be elated. I would be so full of life. Like, I would be so grateful. I would be so happy. I would be so proud. I would be crying. Like, if me literally 5 years ago from today hopped into this current reality that I'm in, I would be living one of my dream lives. But 2 days ago, that wasn't enough. I was like, all right, God, yeah, I know what you're doing. Like, this is cool and all, but like, what else you got? I'm ready for what's next. Is our faith that wavering? That on a bad day, it just completely diminishes. It's just not even real. We just all of a sudden feel no gratitude, no zest for the life that we've created, no consideration for how far we've come. Just made me think about it. Like, really, when you're in the state of not gratitude, when you're in a state of complaining, you're really out of line. You're really out of alignment, and it's truly a slap in God's face. You're not too different from the Israelites walking the desert and complaining. All right, y'all, I hope that the message resonated. Stay blessed, stay beautiful, stay hopeful. You got this. The promised land is right on the other side of what you're doing, okay? Have a good one. Humans would rather suffer in familiarity. Humans would rather suffer in familiarity. Humans would rather suffer in familiarity. Sorry. How do you say this word? Humans would rather suffer in familiarity. Sorry. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, gosh. Humans will rather suffer in what's familiar. Oh dang. Nah, I'm tickled. Whew. Let me breathe. Humans would rather suffer in what's familiar than deal with the discomfort of growth, of change, of something new.